fighter. I felt like the worst daughter in the world. I realized I was trying so hard to protect Dad's feelings that I'd completely hurt them instead. He thought I was ashamed of him being in a wheelchair. The next morning, I found Dad in the garage with his wheelchair rolling back and forth between two orange cones he'd set up. He was practicing turns and checking his watch. When he saw me, he stopped and looked embarrassed. I sat down on his workbench and asked what he was doing. He said he'd been practicing so he wouldn't mess up my big day. He wanted to make sure he could get me down the aisle smoothly without bumping into anything or going too slow. That's when I started crying. I told him I was sorry for suggesting Jake walk me instead. I explained that I was worried he'd feel sad about not being able to walk, but I'd made everything worse by trying to fix something that wasn't broken. Dad rolled over and took my hands. He said the accident took away his legs, but it didn't take away his job as my father. He'd been looking forward to walking me down the aisle since I was 5 years old, and no wheelchair was going to stop him from doing it. I asked if he was sure he wanted to do it, and he laughed. He said he'd been dreaming about this day for 26 years, and he wasn't about to let me give his job away to my knucklehead brother. We spent the rest of the morning practicing together, Dad rolling beside me while I walked in my pajamas, both of us laughing when he took the corners too fast. He showed me how he'd planned to position his wheelchair during the ceremony, so I could still hold his arm like traditional father-daughter walks. On my wedding day, Dad rolled me down that aisle like he was escorting a queen. He decorated his wheelchair with white ribbons that matched my dress, and he moved so smoothly you'd think he'd been doing it his whole life. When we reached the altar, he stood up from his chair using his arms and hugged me tight. He whispered that he was proud of me and that this was the best day of his life.